My name is Miles Showell. I'm a mastering engineer based here at Abbey Road Studios in St John's Wood in London, and I remastered The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway by Genesis from the original tapes. So how did the remastering compare to previous Genesis albums? I've only actually remastered a couple of Genesis albums in the past, and neither of those were from the original tapes. I've worked on Seconds Out and actually the live album, which we have also as part of the set for The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. But both of those were done from the early 2000s remixes that were done by Nick Davis. I didn't have, until this session, I didn't have the original tapes from the original recordings back in the 70s. So this is, back to the authentic originals, and I have the original tape here. This is side one. In fact, it's such an early recording that the titles on the box here aren't the original, these are the working titles that the band had before they settled on the final titles that are actually on the disc. So on this side, Island Studios, where they recorded it, and the kind of working names. On the back is Trident label, and that's where it was originally mastered back in 1974. At that point, the titles had been decided, so they did a new label stuck on the other side of the tape with the right names on them, which was quite handy to have because I didn't know what was what when I was looking at these names, because none of that made sense to me. My goals for this process were to present the tapes as accurately as they are. We're really fortunate. I don't think these tapes have been used very much. They were in really pretty good condition. It's quite often for a 50-year-old tape that from a classic album to be really worn and not be in good shape. I suspect these tapes got lost for a while because they don't exhibit the signs of having been played and played and played and played, so they're in really good shape. I think my technical approach for this album was really just to sort of listen to it and say, they did a great job 50 years ago, so it's not for me to try and throw my stamp all over it. Just because I've got a console here full of gear doesn't mean I have to use it all. It's far better to use as little as possible. Every piece of kit that I put in the way of the signal actually changes the sound. So you have to weigh up, is it worth the sacrifice that it has by having this thing in play? Does it bring anything better to the party? And very often, less is more. So I did very minor EQ changes, a bit of tube compression here and there, but really I just wanted to present what I was being given because it sounded good. So my whole approach was really just hands off. I had a couple of problems with some old edits that fell apart. You have to remember when this was recorded, they didn't have computerized mixing consoles. If there was a massive change that needed making, it would be 4 or 5 people all on the desk at the same time, and often it wouldn't quite go right. So they'd wind it back and do it again, and then splice the bits back together. Literally cut the tape, stick it with some sticky tape. And this 50-year-old tape can dry out and fall apart. So when you rewind the tape, suddenly it splits and you get tape everywhere. You have to spool it back onto the reel, remake the join. So had a bit of that to deal with. Not too much, but certainly 3 or 4 edits fell apart and needed to be remade. It's actually quite remarkable how well they were recorded, given how adventurous this product is. It must have been a hell of a job. So the recording engineers back in 1974 were John Burns and Dave Hutchins, and I take my hat off to them. They did an amazing job. It cannot have been easy to have recorded and mixed this because it's such an adventurous thing and it sounds so good. So they made my job pretty easy. I don't really have a philosophy for remastering specific genres. My attitude really is just to try to put myself in the shoes or the seat of a person who is a massive fan of this record, because for them this is their favourite album, so you really want to present it in the best light possible. There are plenty of pitfalls in remastering a beloved classic album, because there are people in this planet who know that album better than anybody who was ever in Genesis. They'll know it so well, they'll play it every day for the whole of their life for the last 50 odd years. So you can never please everybody. There are some people who only want the original version, there are some people that like the remix, there are other people that want the remastered version from the noughties. So I didn't want to try and second guess that. You can't really. So the best thing you can do is just actually start fresh, put the tape on and think, well, this tape is really good, so I don't have to work hard to present it in the way it is. The most enjoyable part of this remastering process was actually when I was done and I could sit down, having put it all back together and edited it, got it ready to go, and I sat down and just before it was sent off for approval, I did a quality control. So I listened to the whole thing through, because obviously when I'm remastering it, I'm doing it a track at a time. I might have to play a track 2 or 3 times and twiddle with a few things, and it's all in bits, and then it has to be edited back together. So it was just a really nice thing to sit down and actually just go through the whole thing, the whole kind of, you know, hour and a half, 2 hours of music, and just to appreciate it for what it is. You know, there's a reason why people are still interested in this 50 years on. It's because it's a damn good record.